Hey guys, it's Cal from the Lighting Doctor here. I hope you guys enjoy this video with some more great landscape lighting tips. To learn more about landscape lighting, go and check out our website at lightingdoctor.ca, or if you want to see what a real quality landscape light should look like, go and check out our Try It Before You Buy It offer, where you can get a premium quality fixture at a discounted rate with your very own battery pack, so you can go and test out how that light's going to look and feel what a real premium quality light should look like. So go and check us out at lightingdoctor.ca, or go watch more videos on YouTube just by searching for the Lighting Doctor. Hey, Clayton, first off, thanks for sending the pictures. I mean, you've got a great property to work with. I kind of went over your notes there. So I think I got a pretty good idea of what you're saying. I will explain a couple things that I think you'll probably want to do. But yeah. So if I get started, I mean, the first thing, one of the things that you had mentioned, I think, is let's say I start over on the left here. I think where a big focus is going to be on the house. I love the blue house with the white trim is one of my favorite looks. And I'll kind of show you an example too, but I think that's kind of where you want to focus. You can do a little bit in the landscape, but I wouldn't do too much, because you almost want the silhouette of the landscape, I think, to stand out more than the actual features, with the exception of a couple bigger trees, especially with evergreens and junipers and all that kind of stuff. They're just they're very tough to do a really good job of lighting. So I think where I would probably focus more is on backlighting and backlighting the house. So for example, like in an area like this back window here, and I think you had mentioned this, is just kind of getting two lights fairly close to the house that kind of highlight this whole section. What I like is with the white trim and the white windows, you get a lot more reflective light, so you get more bang for your buck, and it's more noticeable. And what's cool about that is now you kind of get the silhouette of these smaller shrubs, which are not going to be too impressive to light anyway. And I find the house is going to be something you're going to want to light a little bit better. What you could do is you could throw one kind of in this back corner as well on the side of the porch, and maybe match it up on that side if there's room. Reason being, again, because you want to kind of create some backlight and take advantage of the nice trim and everything you have. And then, you know, also you had mentioned the kind of the porch pillars here, and I love that idea of getting some accent lights at the base of all three of these guys here for sure. I don't think you need to put a whole bunch more downlighting and stuff in here. You definitely can, but I'll show you an example of the pictures. If you look, like here's an example of how they've done some downlighting, but you see how much reflective light that they get from this that kind of helps light those already, that you can kind of avoid having to put a whole bunch of extra lights, because I just don't think you would get the effect that maybe you're hoping for by doing that. So I would definitely have my 6 accent lights at the base there. And again, it also helps create that silhouette as well as some reflective light down on the bed, so you don't have to put a whole lot else in there. I think if you wanted to light this little peak, you could. I don't think you have to, because it's small enough. If it is an area that you wanted to light, then I would probably just use a wash light, just a lot softer, subtler light. And in the other areas, like I was just talking about, just using a standard accent light. But a wash light like this is not as bright, so less chance of creating a hot spot. I will give you a tip for, I think you mentioned mounting some lights here, and I love the idea of trying to mount the lights kind of on both sides of the windows in both of these areas. Again, I don't think you necessarily have to put one in the middle here. I think if you do a good job of lighting these peaks, that'll be enough. The one thing to be careful of, I know a lot of times what people will do on an area like this, and it works, you might just have to play with it, is they'll gutter mount the lights back here and then have them shining up. The only thing is, sometimes what happens is a lot of that light hits the rooftop, and you don't necessarily always want to see that. So 2 things you can do is, one, sometimes people will either put it on a riser so it's a little bit higher up so it misses this, or they'll actually flip the shroud around. So instead of having the kind of open section of the light facing down, they'll actually have the top part of the light facing down. It still does a pretty good job of keeping the water out and everything, so it's not typically something you have to worry about. Or the other option is people will just mount them closer to the house. And I'm not sure if it's in this picture or not. No, I had another picture where it shows it kind of mounted right here and here and here and here on a very similar house, and it does a great job. So that's probably where I would leave this section. If you wanted to highlight the beds a little bit more with some path and garden lighting, you definitely could. Couple different options to choose from. These are two of my favorites. The modern path lights are a very popular look. They're a little bit more expensive, but you can typically space these a little bit further apart too, closer to 12 to 14 feet, whereas these are maybe 8 to 10 feet apart. The reason I like this one is it casts light 360 degrees, where this is like 270. So where that's important is like in a bed like this, those 360 ones are nice because then it not only shines light forward, but it kind of shines it back on a couple of these areas. So if you wanted to make this front section pop a little bit, what you could do is if you have your 3 accent lights here, you might throw 2 of those 360 path lights kind of in here and in here in between those pillars, and all it does is it helps highlight that bed a little bit. And then you could also put a couple on both sides of the pathway here. One thing I do like doing though is not necessarily putting them right by the path, but kind of almost in the middle or even sometimes behind these a little bit, because if I can show you another example, and I'll just try and get to it real quick here, of path lighting that's kind of placed a little bit behind some structures, you get a little bit of this kind of shadowing effect too, so it's kind of a neat little effect. So anyway, something to think of for the front there, but I think that tackles most of that. In this area over here, I think you had mentioned same thing, getting a couple accent lights kind of to highlight this back section of the house here. So I would probably throw 2 of those there. And then I would throw another one on the front of this tree, just because this is more of a feature tree and you'll get 2 effects. You'll have the tree lit up, but you'll also get the silhouette of the top section against the backlit portion of the house. I like the idea of highlighting these trees, and it really just depends on where you want your viewing angle to be. If you want them to look really good from looking out from the house, and obviously you're going to want the lights on that side. If this is a roadside and you want it to look good from there, then you're going to light them from the other side. That being said, you can always light them from both. It's just, obviously the cost goes up. Something else to consider too is if these lights are going to be in the grass area, which because these are wider canopies, you may have to get the light out here a bit more, or out here to catch that effect. Then you might want to go to an in-ground light, for the reasons that you can put this flush in the grass and you can just mow over it, and you're not have fixtures sticking out of the grass that you got to worry about weed trimming around and stuff. Yeah, I like the idea also of accenting this tree. I think you had mentioned just to kind of balance things out. We've got the front section of the house. I think, like you said, with all those up lights, the 2 up here, I don't think you need a whole lot of hanging lights. I think you're going to get a really good effect. Also, by having a light here, maybe a slightly intenser one kind of in this back corner, you're going to throw a little bit of extra light up here. So when you're choosing a light like this usually comes standard with what they'll call a 20 watt equivalent lamp, which is a 4 watt LED. But for an area like that back corner, you might want to use something that's closer to a 35 watt equivalent. And we can put all this together for you based on your suggestions. Just let us know what you like and stuff, and then we can put that in a kit for you so you have all that properly, but just something to keep in mind there. And then I'll keep going. I think I just got a couple more pictures. Yeah, this front area, like I talked about, I mean, I like having the lights kind of back here so it can kind of cast a little bit of shadow through those. I do like the idea, because you have a walkway in front of having the path lights, kind of more on the house side, I would put it, so that you're taking advantage of throwing a little bit of light back on these beds, but then also the walkway, so your path lights kind of here and here. And then highlighting this guy. Yeah, so you might not have a need to put a corner light on this porch. I think if you just light this last pillar, that'll be enough. Again, you don't have to do overkill. You can definitely put a light in here, a gutter mounted accent light to light up this little peak. I think if you have both of those lights here, that's going to do a really good job of lighting this area. It's really up to you and budget. I think it would definitely look good if you were to do it and kind of have it in here so it kind of catches this whole little section. But I think if you missed it, it wouldn't be the end of the world. And then, yeah, and on this side here, I mean, there's all kinds of things. In a perfect world, what you would do is you would actually have some in-ground lights mounted into the pavement driveway that just shoot up all 4 of these areas. That would be the ideal situation. The other thing you could do is you could gutter mount some lights to catch these peaks. The only thing you want to keep in mind is that you want to just keep the lighting consistent. So maybe you gutter mount one here, and you gutter mount one here that shines out this way, and then you have like 2 gutter mounted up here that kind of catches top peak. Could be a really neat way to go about it. And then yeah, this little second garage area, I mean, keep the same concept with the you know, with the lighting the pillars if you can. I like the idea of kind of trying to throw a light under both of these back windows, and then I would probably try and throw an accent light in here that catches this tree as well as this window, because what that's going to do is it's going to make this appear bigger as it casts some shadows along here, but then it'll allow that light to get to that top section and top peak. So maybe throw 3 lights on there, and if you wanted to throw a couple path lights, again, depending on the model, you go with either 8 to 14 foot spacings, but something like that would look good, and I think would just kind of nicely round that out. So there's a lot of ideas. That's a longer video, but hopefully it gives you some good ideas. Let me know what you think of all those, and then if you want me to build a kit, just send me kind of quantities of lights that you're thinking based on those suggestions. We can do that with proper transformer and everything. You may want to run a separate smaller transformer to the second garage or this guest house, depending on where everything's located. If it has power here, it might be cheaper to just do that with a small transformer, run a few lights along here, than having to run a bunch of extra wire out here. So again, let me know if you have any other questions, and hopefully you find this helpful. Thanks, Clayton. Hey guys, it's Cal from the Lighting Doctor here. We're going to show you how to light up your landscape using a couple of our favorite mounts. The first is our tree mount stake that you can use for mounting your lights up in your trees for either uplighting or downlighting. They're very easy to use. They have a giant screw end on them that simply screws into the tree, and then you can go and mount your light on the stake as opposed to a ground stake. So it's a super easy way to get it in the tree. It allows you to easily back off the mount as the tree starts to grow, so that tree never grows over your lighting fixture. So it's a great way if you need to mount in a tree and just keep that light off the ground, or if you're looking at doing some down lighting and you want to mount that up in the tree and have that light shining down, the tree mount stake is a great and easy option for that. The second mount is our gutter mount. Again, one of our favorite mounts. Between the tree mount and the gutter mount, if you want to take your landscape lighting to the next level and do what most people are not doing, you want to go and get a couple of these mounts. Where you're going to use the gutter mount is anytime you have a second story to your home or some peaks that you want to go and light, but you don't know how to mount a light up there, this is a great option. It basically just fits in and screws into your gutter, and then your light will actually go and screw into here as opposed to having to screw it into a ground stake. So it just mounts in there, and then you can go and angle that however you need to on that second story of your home. And because all the connections are waterproof, you can simply run that wire right up the eaves trough and into the gutter and make all your connections there, mount your light, and go, like I said, take that that landscape lighting project to the next level by getting that whole second tier of your home lit properly. But if you need more help on how to go and do that, go and access our free consultation series by visiting lightingdoctor.ca and send me pictures of your property, and we're going to walk you through some great lighting ideas to make your house really stand out. So go and check that out at lightingdoctor.ca, and I hope you guys enjoy watching. Hey guys, I really hope you enjoyed that video presentation with some great tips and tools of how to go and properly and effectively light up your landscape. And be sure, if you want your own free consultation video, just send me an email at cal@lightingdoctor.ca with a few pictures of your property, and we'll get back to you with some really cool ideas and ways to go and effectively light your property. And be sure to watch the videos after this one for more tips on how to install landscape lighting, as well as how to light up your landscape the best way possible.